Yeah, so I know I haven't made a video in almost a week. My job's gotten really demanding recently, and my boss is on vacation for a couple weeks, so I got to do his job, and there's just a lot of stuff going on at work, and a lot of stressful stuff, and I feel overwhelmed, and I can't stop thinking about work no matter what I do. I'm probably going to be thinking about work as I'm talking through this video. Anyway, so this video is going to be on alcohol and what's the worst it ever got for me with alcohol. So my relationship with alcohol is probably close to a lot of yours in that it's not my drug of choice. It never was my quote-unquote drug of choice. But it is kind of a filler drug for when nothing else is around. And alcohol's everywhere and it's cheap. So yeah, it's something that, if we cannot source our preferred drugs or we can't afford our preferred drugs, like alcohol is a type of intoxication. And I think a lot of us, call it polydrug addiction or whatever. I just call it someone who, likes to get high and escape reality, whatever. Which is not inherently bad. It's not inherently bad to like altered states of mind or the science of drugs and intoxication. It just can get very precarious with a lot of chemicals, and we have to be very careful or things can go very badly, as evidenced by most of the videos on this channel. And yeah, things can go badly with alcohol. And so I was a very late bloomer. I didn't go through the whole like teenage, well, I mean, if you want to call 19 a teenager, but like I didn't go through the whole like teenager alcohol and drug rebellion. I was a very goody two-shoes kid. I was a very like shy, nerdy kid. I didn't drink, I didn't party in high school at all. I started smoking weed like right at that point between high school and college. But I didn't drink, and I went to college like not even intending to drink. So yeah, so I'm a freshman in college, and I'm starting to go to college parties with the friends that I had made. And obviously there's alcohol there. And I never had like the self-confidence to like say, oh, I don't drink. I would always, I would do the thing where you accept a drink and then you stand there all night with the drink in your hand, remaining full. So I did that for a couple parties, and then like my friends started messing with me. They're like, yeah, we know what you're doing. You're not drinking your drink. You got to drink your drink, and all of that peer pressure stuff. And instead of being, confident in saying like, I don't drink, I'm not going to drink, I gave in and I started slowly sipping on the drink, trying to avoid actually feeling any effects. Because again, like alcohol wasn't something I wanted to do. And so I would do this. I would like sip on a drink over the course of a couple hours, and obviously nothing happened. But there came a time where I just came across mixed drinks that were too strong, and I did inadvertently wander into a bit of an alcohol buzz. And I had a profound revelation that I had been being an idiot, and alcohol buzzes felt good, and this was something that I wanted to do. I was going to start drinking. So I did. I started to drink, and I started to drink a lot. Not like worse necessarily than a lot of college-age kids, but like still, I was drinking multiple nights a week. I was drinking on school nights. I was drinking in the afternoon sometime. But again, it was never, it was never out of the ordinary. It's the same kind of, relationship with alcohol that probably 2/3 of college freshmen have. And yeah, like I remember going toward like my senior year of college. Everything was still under control at this point. Like, I had tried a couple different drugs, coke and ecstasy and mushrooms and stuff, and nothing really had like given me any real. Again, it all came later for me. I was a late bloomer in that sense too. It wasn't until my mid-20s that. Well, I would say probably about like 21 or 22 was when things really started to get bad. But yeah, so I remember my senior year of college, I was in the little convenience store. I went to a really little college, and there was one convenience store, and I was in it, and I was buying alcohol, and the one clerk, she would always, this older lady, she'd always sell me alcohol, and I just said to her the one night, I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm drinking a lot. I should probably slow down. And she was like, oh, yeah, that's definitely, I've been sober for so many years. Yeah, like, it's good that you're recognizing this when you're young and everything. And looking back on it, it was like, yeah, maybe that was a warning sign of, if only I would have stopped at that point. So, yeah, and so yeah, it's mainly like once I started to use a lot of other drugs, like there was a lot of ecstasy use. For example, there would be a lot of alcohol use around the ecstasy to come down and fall asleep off of it, and just drinking. It's horrible to mix alcohol and ecstasy. It makes the crash so much worse, but it was like the thing to do in the nightclubs was just, get as messed up as possible. And I remember the year of 2008 was the year that it was the year that I was doing my master's, and somehow I managed to do like 300 ecstasy pills in the calendar year of 2008, and still just barely get my master's. Somehow I pulled off this crazy double life, but it was like multiple nights a week was at the nightclubs doing ecstasy, and all of the other nights were drinking a lot. And that was one of the two times that it actually started to feel physical. Like, I remember I was living with, because this was when I was living in Brisbane, Australia. So I got my master's in Australia. So I'm living in Brisbane, Australia with these two other American couple, guy and a girl. And they, this was like, in terms of like shameful things done on alcohol and alcoholic-esque behavior, this is one of the moments where like I look back and it's just horribly embarrassing, awkward memory trauma. So they had done this thing where they went out and brewed their own beer. My roommates did. So they bring back like hundreds of bottles of beer and fill up our refrigerator with beer. And, I was keeping everything behind closed doors. They had no idea that I was, going out and partying and like I was and everything. They just thought that I was someone who liked his space and was away from home a lot. So when they brewed this beer, they basically said to me like, we brewed beer. You're welcome to have as much as you want. So I did. I started drinking their beer that they had brewed. It was like stronger ale type thing. And yeah, like in the course of like 2 or 3 days, like after like 2 or 3 days, the guy actually like sat me down and was like, you know what, I think we'll just drink the rest of the beer, okay? So like that was embarrassing thing number one, which was that was like really, really embarrassing, and I still deal with that moment in awkward memory trauma. And then the other thing was that this couple would have they would buy like big expensive bottles of whiskey and stuff like that, like dark alcohol, dark liquor. And I would do the whole, because like liquor stores in Australia at that time, they would close like super early. So like, I was living in the suburbs, and if I ran out of alcohol in the apartment, I would literally like have to like do like a multi-hour journey into the city and like hit up a casino or something like that, or a bar or something, and it was just not worth it. So I would do the whole trick where I would go and, pour myself a shot or two of their liquor and then do the whole water trick. You replace the volume that you drank with the volume of water, and hopefully nobody notices. That good old alcoholic trick. And I didn't do it a lot, but I thought I was getting away with it. And again, this is not good behavior. I'm ashamed that I did this. This is not very good, but yeah, this is my confessional. So the one night the girl is standing in the kitchen and she takes out her bottle of liquor and she's like, I'm gonna have a shot. So she pours herself a shot and she's standing there with the glass, and then she goes over to the sink and she pours about the same amount of water into the glass, and she just looks at me and she's like, I can't drink these straight. I need to put some water in it. And just the way she said that, I was like, oh God. Now, I don't know with 100% certainty that she was signaling to me that they knew, but it was, regardless, it was horribly embarrassing and awkward. And I remember that night that she did that, I remember laying in my bed and I didn't have any alcohol and I was getting like what they'll call like a nocebo effect, perhaps. I don't know if it was a nocebo effect or actual alcohol withdrawal, but like my heart was pounding and I was just having horrible physical anxiety. And like I was up all night in this horrific state, until the morning, when I got to campus in the morning and I got a drink at the campus bar and like everything calmed down. So like, yeah, that kind of thing, that was kind of scary. And yeah, and it was like, it was just bad. And then other times, like the older I got and the more it was like these stints of like daily drinking to daily drinking in lieu of actual hard drugs or preferred drugs. Yeah, I mean, the older I started to get, the worse the hangovers got. The more like I would get really bad like acid reflux from drinking. I would get these just horrific anxiety hangovers and depression. You get drunk trying to escape your depression, and then you get drunk and you're depressed, and you start crying, and because like the heroin loop is like you get high to escape the consequences of getting high on heroin, and that's the loop. Whereas alcohol, the loop is like you get drunk to treat the depression that you're getting because of your drinking. So they feel different. I mean, it's at the heart of it, it's like the same kind of dynamic, but the loops have different feels to them with the different drugs. Let's see, other times that it got bad. It really wasn't. It really wasn't that bad at any other times. A lot of drunk driving that I regret, and yeah, and the whole like figuring out the whole hair of the dog concept where you can get away from these horrific hangovers with one drink in the morning. So like I have done that. Oh, and other things like it was I mean, it's been bad to a point where like I literally was drinking beer before I would go to the gym, and now like that seems absolutely insane because I'm like really serious about the gym. But like this was back when I was just kind of like just a normal guy who goes to the gym sometimes. Like I would drink before going to the gym, and I remember like my gym friends, the one time like the guy was spotting me on something, and he's just like, "Have you been drinking?" He's like, "I smell something." So I guess like you could still smell it on me, and that's and then he like paused and he's just like, maybe it's just like your aftershave or something. And the guy like texted me later that night and he was like, if you ever need a friend, something cliche like that. And like I literally just walked away from that friendship at the time because I was so embarrassed over that how that played out. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it in terms of I've never like experienced hardcore alcohol withdrawal, but yeah, just looking back, like just always, and like I've liked to travel a lot, and like I would always drink when I traveled, and it would ruin the trips because like, like I remember like I went to Bangkok, Thailand one time for like I flew into Bangkok and I was going to be in Thailand for 3 weeks, and I had all of these plans to like take buses around the country and go to these beach towns and all of that stuff. And like the first night in Bangkok, I just went out and got wasted and, woke up hungover, did the hair of the dog thing in a bar. And then it's night 2 and I'm getting wasted again. And I stayed in the capital city of Bangkok that whole time, partying every freaking night. So yeah, like things like that where it's like looking back and it's like, when you're young and you get opportunities to travel and you don't take it seriously because you're just partying and it's just a blur, the whole youth is wasted on the young saying, and you think that, oh, well, I'll just, I'll actually enjoy traveling when I get older, but then you get older and you have real life responsibilities and these things are hard. Yeah, so that's about it for alcohol. I'm probably missing some good alcohol stories, but I'll just make other videos for them. So yeah, I've never like alcohol was something that was always there, but it never, like, I mean, it's hard to say because like it obviously, like, what heroin did to me like feels significantly worse and like destructive and everything, but um, yeah, like alcohol it's an insidious drug. I don't, um, it just sucks as a drug. I really, it sucks, and it sucks as a drug. I feel about alcohol the same way I feel about kratom. Like, they suck as drugs, but you just keep doing them because they're there. And then you get disappointed in yourself because you're like, why am I spending money and wasting time on a drug that sucks? So, yeah, yeah, that'll wrap it up.